Okay, good morning, everyone. We will call the October 6th, 2022 West Elgin Council meeting to order at
9:30 a.m.
9:30. First item is the adoption of the agenda.
Sir, before we get there, I just want to, we're going to amend this recommendation. The West Elgin Council hereby adopts the agenda with the removal of item number 12. The closed session is no longer required.
Okay, with that amendment, do I have a mover and seconder for that? Rowe and Latham? All in favor? That is carried. Certainly a reminder to disclose any pecuniary interest. Adoption of the minutes, recommendation at the minutes of the council meeting on September 22nd, 2022 be adopted as circulated and printed. Mover and seconder. Cameron and Tellier, all in favor? Oh,
There is one error.
here, okay.
9.5.1. So I approves or refuses. We haven't
Oh, sorry about that.
approved, but
Okay. And okay.
Sorry, I didn't.
It was, you are correct. It is approved. I missed removing the word refuses.
So as corrected, everybody happy with the minutes? We have it moved and seconded, all in favor? And that's carried. Any business arising from those minutes? Seeing none, consent agenda.
So this is a reminder is if no one has any question, if anyone has any questions about any of these items, let me know and we can move them to items for discussion. Otherwise, we move them as received and filed.
Okay, anyone have any thing that they want to note through the consent agenda? If not, I will ask for a mover and seconder. Rowe and Cameron. Oh, she was coughing. Rowe and Tellier, all in favor? And that's carried. Communications from other
Oh,
municipalities.
so that's all part of the consent. We're on to
Okay.
the planning items.
All right, Robert, are you close by? Good morning, Robert.
Morning, Mr. Mayor. Figuratively, I am close by.
All right, with that, we'll get right into our planning portion here. Let's have a talk about the E7222 2022 Douglas Line planning report. Want to go through the planning report before we read the recommendation? Okay, Robert, we'll turn it over to you. You can lead us through this one.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good morning, council. This application is for the creation of a new lot on Douglas Line. Currently, the property contains a house and small accessory building. The applicant is looking to create one new lot on the property. There are no policy issues on this. This is on municipal water. Will require new private septic once a house is constructed on the property. Will also require removal of the small accessory building since that's not permitted to remain on the property as a standalone. This shows the configuration. It is a little bit of an odd location for the lot. That does have a bit of a side effect on it in terms of being able to allow for enough lot frontage on it. But I did note in the report, there still remains enough lot frontage in order to provide access and servicing, but it will require a minor variance to address slight reduction in the requirements under the Hamilton residential zone. And that is included as a condition for the approval. I should note to council, I did get comment back from drainage yesterday, just confirming that drainage reapportionment will be required. I had originally not included that as a condition, but that should be amended. The condition should be amended to add that back into the requirements before that's sent off to the county. Unless there's questions from council, that is all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, you've made the note on the extra condition, Madam Clerk. Any questions from council regarding this application? Seeing none, I have a recommendation that West Elgin West Elgin Council hereby receives a report from Robert Brown, planner regarding consent application file E7222, comments to the Elgin County planning report 2022-36. And that West Elgin Council hereby recommends approval. Now we need to put as amended in there, or?
Yeah, the conditions as amended, yep.
Okay, to Land Division Committee at the County of Elgin for a severance application file E7222, subject to the lower tier municipal conditions of in Appendix 2 of this report. And further, that West Elgin Council directs administration to provide this report as municipal comments to the County of Elgin. Mover and seconder, please. Leatham and Cameron, all in favor? And that is carried. Okay, I read my first recommendation, Madam Clerk. You can read the rest of it. I feel like I need to do at least one.
Okay,
Okay, next item up, Robert, is 22-100 Downey Line.
This particular application is a lot addition. What is being done here is there's a small piece of land behind an end bridge property that's located on Downey Line that the neighboring commercial lot to the east is purchasing in order to provide some additional outdoor storage area. Right now, it has a trailer business on it. There's a number of, if you drive by it there on Pernalville Road, there's a number of enclosed trailers, open trailers, landscape trailers. That's part of the business that's done on the lot, and they need some additional storage space on the site, and they have an agreement with the neighboring farmer to purchase just slightly short of 1/4 acre from him. As part of the lot addition severance, one of the conditions will be that the lands be rezoned from their current agricultural to the C3 to match up with the current zoning. Policy does allow for minor boundary adjustments like this, and the addition of a small amount of lands to help facilitate. It's understood that the business, a lot of existing businesses, particularly in the agricultural area, tend to grow over time and may require a little additional land. So that is permitted both at the provincial level, the county level, and our local OP allow for those adjustments as long as they're minor and they're not removing anything of great significance. This will slightly further undersize the farm parcel, and as a result, part of the zoning amendment to match the C3 on the lot addition lands will also address the slight undersizing of the lot, the remaining farm lot, and recognize that reduction. Unless there's questions from council, that is all I have.
Anybody have any concerns with this severance? Certainly, I think it's an opportunity for everyone to take advantage of this. So this is a good one all the way around. Mover and second, or well, no, we're gonna.
that West Elgin Council hereby receives the report from Robert Brown, planner regarding consent application E7522, comments to Elgin County. And that West Elgin Council hereby recommends the approval to the Land Division Committee of the County of Elgin for the consent application file E7522, subject to lower tier municipal conditions attached in Appendix 2 of this report. And further, that West Elgin Council directs administration to provide this report as municipal comments to the County of Elgin.
You've all heard the resolution. Mover and seconder, please. Moved by Rowe, seconded by Cameron, all in favor. And that is carried. 22-99-7 Silver Clay, Robert.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a very simple request. Occasionally, from time to time, farm lots that are purchased in the same name will merge together. Sometimes it's not an issue for farmers. Sometimes it is, especially when they're going through doing any type of estate planning. Ordinarily, farm parcels such as this would not merge, but unfortunately, as you can kind of see on the drawing there, there's a bit of offsets between some of the farm parcels, and unfortunately, I've only had this happen one other time, but because of that offset, it's actually allowed enough abutment between the retained and the severed parcel that, because they are held in the same name, The parcels have actually merged under the Planning Act. The applicant would like to reestablish these as separate parcels. They've always essentially been separate parcels. There's actually a large wooded area at the back of the retained parcel. They've never, other than walking from parcel to parcel, they've never had a connection in order to be farmed as one large parcel. One's farmed from Silver Clay, and then the other one is farmed from Talbot Line. So they've always been separate parcels. And thankfully, the West Elgin OP does recognize this and has a clause in it that allows for the reestablishment of lots that have inadvertently merged as a result of changes to the Planning Act back many years ago. There's no change to the acreage in each of these parcels. They will remain. There's no additional items to address from a zoning standpoint. These are effectively they were recognized as legal non-conforming, and in my professional opinion, that merging didn't alter that. The frontage is not changing. The area is not changing, so their status remains effectively as it was prior to the merger. As I mentioned, very simple. Much of questions from council. That is all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, questions for council, Bonnie?
Oh, good morning, Robert. I just have a question for my own interest. How does this merging on title occur? In what government body does it occur? And do we get any information that it has occurred?
That is an excellent question. And every time I get it, I wish it was never asked, because I've never entirely understood it myself, even after 22 years. Effectively, it's language in the Planning Act. Unfortunately, for ease of explanation, everybody refers to it as merging under the Planning Act. Effectively, both the way the act is written essentially says if you own abutting holdings in the same name, you can't transfer one of those parcels or part interest in one of those parcels without going through the severance or the consent process. That's kind of where the word consent comes from, is you're getting permission from a local approval authority to convey a portion of your land properly through the Planning Act. There were changes many years ago. The magic date basically is March 31st of 1979, when changes in the language in the act essentially made it so that if you do own abutting holdings and they're not either whole lots on a plan of subdivision, or they were created by consent after March of 79, then you can't convey them. Merging's a bad word. It's an easy explanation, but effectively they haven't. A lot of times people don't know this until, somebody passes away and they're trying to settle in the state, and they find out that, they bought them as husband and wife and didn't really think about it. It's something that really has to be caught when you purchase a property, to make sure that you're giving the lawyer the heads up, hey, do we need to keep this in a separate name? You keep it a separate name, not an issue. That's not a problem. But the second you put it in the same name, that's where you create the issue. I haven't heard any discussions, through my professional association or anything, that there's any plans to necessarily change the act, but there has been recent changes to the Planning Act that in limited circumstances, this wouldn't happen anymore. They're very limited and very specific, but they are hopefully gradually moving away from us having this. And in this particular case, this is very odd. It's because of that strange alignment. Normally, farm parcels on opposite roads would touch at a corner. That's not considered abutting. But in this case, they're offset a little bit. I don't know whether it was the surveyor was off a little that day, or the chains were stretched or short or something, but that was essentially the only reason this really even happened in this specific case.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Madam Clerk.
The West Elgin Council hereby receives a report from Robert Brown, planner regarding consent application E7622, comments to County of Elgin. And that West Elgin Council hereby recommends approval to the Land Division Committee of the County of Elgin for severance application E7622, subject to the lower tier municipal conditions in Appendix 2 of this report. And further, that West Elgin Council directs administration to provide this report as municipal comments to the County of Elgin.
Okay, been moved and seconded. Did you have anything to add, Tom?
We didn't have a mover or a seconder, sir.
Do we have one yet? Okay, mover and seconder, please. Latham and Rowe. All in favor? That is carried. And next item up is application E7822 21991 Queens Line. Robert.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is somewhat of a similar circumstance to the last application. The Rodney Cemetery Company purchased lands next to the existing cemetery quite some time ago in order to have lands on hand to potentially expand the cemetery in the future. They no longer have a need for those lands, but because they were purchased and placed in the same name, effectively, the parcel to the east became, they couldn't convey it again without going through the severance or the consent process. To do so, they've been approached by someone who would like to acquire the lands for potential development. There have been some preliminary discussions on what would on how this would lay out, but nothing's been finalized. No applications have been filed, so we'll be going through a separate process later on. The purpose of the application, the only purpose of the application here is to reestablish the lands that were originally purchased by the cemetery company, so they can effectively sell them to a prospective developer. The lands are a little bit of a mix of zoning. The narrow portion there, but in Queens Line, is actually in the residential zone, similar to the lots to the east and across the road. And then the lands to the rear, as you can imagine, are zoned future residential, which is obviously what they're planned on being. There are no zoning issues related to this. I did note in the financial implications that normally in this case we would, because you're creating a new lot, we would require cash in lieu of parkland, but because there are future development plans on this, I don't think collecting, we'd kind of be double dipping, I guess, on that. We are going to be collecting cash in lieu of parkland moving forward on this once it's developed. There's no policy issues raised by this. It's within the settlement area for this area and for the Rodney settlement area, and does allow for the creation of the lot or the reestablishment of the former lot. And as I mentioned, there's no zoning issues. So unless there's questions from council, that is all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Any questions? Seeing none, we probably didn't get many objections from the residents to the west, so it probably should go through fairly smoothly. Read the resolution, please.
That West Elgin Council hereby receives a report from Robert Brown, planner regarding consent application E7822, comments to the County of Elgin, and that West Elgin Council hereby recommends approval to the Land Division Committee of the County of Elgin for severance application E7822, subject to lower tier municipal conditions in Appendix 2 of this report. And further, West Elgin Council directs administration to provide this report as comments to the County of Elgin.
Mover and seconder, please. Talia and Latham, all in favor? And that is carried. Thank you very much, Robert.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Enjoy the rest of the day, council.
Okay, next item up is clerk's report from Jay Nethercott, Integrity Commissioner, closed meeting investigator.
So this is, we've always had a contract with the County of Elgin for this, and this is just do the options for all of that. I'm not sure if council has any questions, or I provided a few options there in that we can go with use the closed. We have to have an integrity commissioner that is separate from the Ontario Ombudsman, but we do have the option to use the Ombudsman for 2 of the services offered through Airden Burles.
Okay, well, we were very fortunate for many, many years in Elgin County and in West Elgin to have the services of Mark McDonald. Certainly he was very knowledgeable about the county and certainly all the municipalities in it, but like a lot of good things, they do come to an end. And so here we have some recommendations before us as to how we should move forward. If you notice, the expense potential is quite significant, but really we have no options around it. So anyone have any questions? Bonnie?
Yeah, I wasn't sure what the advantage would be for us to retain the ombudsman and closed meeting investigator portions.
It's no charge. So the Ombudsman is where the public can complain about, and the closed
Mhm.
meeting investigator.
Yeah.
So those are basically where your 2 most frequent complaints are, I guess. Right there,
So there is no advantage to us retaining.
Airden Burles for them. No, sorry. Yeah,
It's an advantage to let the ombudsman do it for free.
correct.
Okay.
It's all
I just wanted to make sure that
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
seems a
when-
no-brainer then.
When you
Yes.
take a look at the cost of whatever their name is, that can add up very, very quickly with $500 an hour lawyer fees. So
Yeah, 480. It's the average, like depending on who ends up investigating it, we
Yeah.
could be up to almost 800.
so I certainly think that staff's recommendation is probably the best way forward. Any other questions, comments? Angela?
I agree with staff recommendation. I mean, I've had many times where people said that they're going to report me because I don't do as I'm quote unquote told. So I agree with staff recommendation to go further with that because I think it would in the future prevent a lot of unnecessary expense to the municipality. So.
Now, if they don't agree with your behavior, they still can make a complaint to the integrity commissioner, but honestly, most people are going to start with your ombudsman before they do anything.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions, comments before I ask clerk to read the resolution? Seeing none, Madam Clerk.
So it's that West Elgin Council hereby receives a report from Janet Nethercott, Clerk, Integrity Commissioner, Closed Meeting Investigator, and Municipal Ombudsman. And the West Elgin Council hereby approves using Airden Burles as the Integrity Commissioner for the municipality of West Elgin and the Ombudsman, the Ontario Ombudsman Office for Closed Meeting Investigator and Municipal Ombudsman Services.
Okay. That is moved by Tellier and seconded by Cameron. All in favor? That is carried. Moving right along here. Committee and board reports, council reports from committees. Anyone have anything they would like to,
We're so close to the election, there probably aren't any.
yeah,
Yeah.
I've just got one. I spent last Friday all day at the Lower Thames
okay,
and we heard 3 cases. And one was quite close to on Grey Line, which affected West Elgin. It was a house that was getting too close to the shoreline through erosion. So we allowed it to come back and be reestablished further back on the lot as far as we could. It was still in the limit where you wouldn't allow a new house, but they did the best in the circumstances, and at least we kept the house there. Yep. And so there was another one refused and another one passed. So it was quite a day.
any questions on Richardson with his hearings? Had any initial discussions on levies?
No, not yet.
Bye.
I'll just make one comment with regard to the Four Counties Transit. There is some interest from Brooke Alvinston again for using our services. So that will be something that the new Four Counties Transit Committee can talk about. We kind of postponed the first request because we hadn't set up an official agreement between our partners, and we felt it was the time to do that. So I'm not exactly sure where that's at, but
It's out for comment to all of the
okay.
partners. I've had a few, one question from Southwest Middlesex we answered and then never heard back from anybody else.
So that would be
I'm
on the
assuming
agenda
it's-
for the next committee to,
Yeah, and we'll probably, at this point, nobody will be able to make decisions. So we'll probably have to go back.
I just have one more, and that was on heritage homes, which the next meeting was on the 24th, which is election day. But we got John Spreet coming to talk to us about getting shovel ready. So we're trying to go forward with that one. So he's coming along to the meeting at 1:30, as it's the annual general for that meeting that day. So we're letting that get over, and then he can come in and hopefully talk and give us some ideas how to get shovel ready for the project.
Now, Street coming, he's coming free gratis.
Yeah.
Okay, any other reports from committee? Certainly going into this portion of council that seems to go quiet. I haven't really got anything unless anyone has any questions from Elgin County, the highlights. Okay, next item, consideration of items requiring discussion, IESO feedback. You have some comments you want to make to that, Bonnie?
yes, I wanted to report to council that I have been kind of following this process that the IESO is going through in terms of posting draft directions and guidelines for the development of any kind of new energy projects that development companies can propose. And so it's at the municipal input stage, and I did sit in on a workshop on September 20th. I had some concerns following that workshop. I did raise them at that time and did not get a lot of clarity on those concerns. So I thought I would just report to council here that it is not clear in the guidelines whether it is mandatory to have municipal support in order to get a contract for renewable energy development. And I spoke to one of the presenters afterwards by phone. She did explain that they had been getting a lot of feedback on that. So she encouraged me to put my recommendations on paper, which I did personally, but I think that it would be wise for our council to put some recommendations forward. The only downside is that they're due by tomorrow, as with many of these government feedback requirements, they obviously often don't give a whole lot of time, but I did put my comments on paper, and I would be glad to forward them to our clerk if it's okay with the council that these recommendations move forward from us. And I would suggest that we also make copies to MPP Rob Flack, because what these recommendations are doing is really flying in the face of what the repeal of the Green Energy Act indicated. So with
Please.
Chair's permission, I'll read my comments. There's two sections. One is, the main one is under municipal support resolution. And I am saying it must be clear in the ISO guidance documents that a support resolution from the municipality where the development is proposed is a mandatory requirement to be awarded a contract. And a bit of background, in 2018, when the Green Energy Act was repealed by the current provincial government, the purpose of repealing the act was stated by then Energy Minister Rickford as, quote, restoring planning decisions to municipalities, ensuring local voices have the final say on energy projects in their communities, unquote. And so in follow-up to this change in the Green Energy Act, as the municipality of West Elgin revises its official plan, we are taking steps to clarify our stance on renewable energy installations within our community. We currently have an interim control bylaw in place to put a hold on any renewable energy projects until our official plan research and revisions are complete. Our local planning decisions must be adhered to for any potential energy development to be successful. The guidance documents are not clear whether a municipal support resolution is mandatory for a contract to be awarded. So that's with regard to the municipal support resolution. And then there is a section under other comments, which, you know, this issue I am aware of from being involved in the Dunwich proposal last time, and they have not made any changes to this section, and it's with regard to Indigenous support. And if you'll remember, the project in Dunwich was approved primarily because there was financial support from several Indigenous communities 1,000 kilometers away from Dunwich. And they have not made any changes to those regulations. And so my comment under that is local Indigenous communities, that is those on whose treaty lands a development is being proposed, must be consulted and must be in support of the development. Indigenous financial support from communities located hundreds of kilometers away is not acceptable. So in terms of West Elgin, of course, our local Indigenous partner would need to be consulted and would need to approve any project. And that to me is a lot more fair than, you know, the distance. So those are the two main comments that I feel we should make as a council.
Well, you've followed this file for some time, Bonnie, and certainly I think that those two comments that you've made there, I think are reasonable. And as far as I'm concerned, is it a situation logistically? Can we have that put and sent to the commission by tomorrow if council agrees to the wording in Councillor Rose?
Yeah, I just have to log on to the website and submit them as long as she submits them to, if she can email them to me, it'd be quicker.
Yep.
Yeah,
cut
and then we
paste.
can send, like I said, send it out. Yeah.
Any other discussion on this? I know there has been activity with the company going around soliciting leases on property. I think in kind of reviewing the lease, tying up your land for many, many years for a mere $500, I think is something that someone should maybe be certainly aware of and check it out with their legal advisor before they sign anything.
I mean, obviously, you know, the next council is going to be in charge of, you know, finalizing our official plan and our zoning bylaws, and whatever is decided, I still feel this is
Yes.
important. It should be mandatory support, not just give you a few extra points and you may still get a contract even if you don't get those points. So
no, I think those are reasonable requests. Any other comments on this? Issue?
Angela has her hand up.
Oh, who has?
Angela.
Angela, okay, I can't see your little hand up there, Angela. Yes, go ahead, please.
Thank you for doing the work on this and writing the resolution. I'm familiar how long those resolutions take to write, so I'm willing to support your resolution. So
You would move that, Angela?
yes, I will.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any more discussion? All in favor? That is carried. Thank you for that work, Bonnie.
No problem.
Okay, waiver of fees request. We have a recommendation here. Jana, would you please read this? And
The West, I'll give you just the basic idea that Rodney Horticultural Society, they're having an event on the 19th. And they want us to waive the rental fee of $120 for the rec center on the 19th. They're bringing in a speaker from I'm not quite sure where they brought it in
It's
outside
the
speaker.
Storm Chaser. I think it probably would be a very good event. If you have the opportunity to go to it, I think it would be very interesting. I intend on going. Yeah, he's got this, what he's about these heavy storms that are coming in. This gentleman, just one of the guys that drives around and
Takes photos. of
takes
them.
photos and follows them. And so I think it'd be a very informative, interesting investment of your time.
So it's the West Elgin Council hereby, you either need to approve or deny the request of the Rodney Horticultural Society to waive the rental fees of $120 plus applicable taxes for the use of the Rodney Recreation Center main room on October 19th, 2022.
Okay, Angela, you'll move that,
So we're approving it, I'm assuming?
approving it. Okay, seconded by Teresa. Any more discussion on that? All in favor? That is carried. We'll move on to council inquiries and announcement. Anyone have a notice of motion? Anybody have a statement that they would like to make?
Angela's got her hand up, sir.
Angela,
I don't know if this is really a statement or just more of an FYI information. I don't know if staff has been working directly with the Catholic School Board, but I had a parent or parents have been asking me what's going on with the daycare. So I took a little bit of time to dig into the planning committee meetings. And so the most recent minutes that I was able to find out, I guess they have to submit for further capital funding in order for the daycare to go forward at the Catholic school is what the most recent planning is indicating. Now, they are mentioning that they're entering to a joint agreement with the municipality in the minutes. So not sure whether that needs to be perhaps corrected in the minutes because I don't recall that we were entering into a joint partnership with them, but that's what's public on the Catholic School Board planning website. So, but at this point, it looks like there's some minor variances that would need to come forward probably in the next term of council. So doesn't look like anything's moving forward for a bit till they get some further capital funding on top of the funding they're already getting. So
would you send you those minutes?
Sure.
Could you do that, Angela? Could you forward those minutes to Jana and our staff will review them just to see
absolutely, I will
going on?
forward the links to them. No problem.
Right. And I think that that's something, if action needs to be taken on our side of it here, that we can do that in a future meeting.
Yeah, I just want to keep the continuing counselors informed of what's going on because obviously this isn't going to be finished in my term of council. So just to keep everybody informed on what's being said at the Catholic School Board. So
Thank you very much, Bunny.
Oh, if I could ask through the chair, Councillor Cameron, did they have funding for the operating costs of the daycare?
what Mayor through the chair, can you refresh me on what MPP Urick's announcement? It was for the building of the daycare. That was so long ago.
Yeah, their capital dollars, I believe, was what they were putting up.
So now they're saying that they require further capital. I can read it here. Capital branch submission is required further in order for this to go forward. What that means, when I looked it up, it means that they need further funding from the ministry.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it looks like it's stalled, how I interpret that.
Mm.
Well, they probably looked at the additional construction costs and what the ministry dollars that have been put forward, but certainly.
I'll forward you the mini agendas that I can find that's on the site, and then staff, if you, I'll leave it with you guys, but I just wanted to keep everybody informed of what I've found, because I know it is being asked in the community from people, because obviously daycare is something that's very much needed. So, and I know we did a lot of lobbying. Everybody did working on this for the last couple of years, so I'd hate to see it stop with the change of, you know, I realized that Trustee Hall was acclaimed, and you know, perhaps maybe you can work with him to see that this does continue to move forward. So,
well, it's probably one of those things that you know, we kind of have to stay in our own lane, and when we're when we're noted as potential partners in something that we've not agreed to, I think is certainly something that we need to deal with. Short of that, at some point in time, if it's necessary to pass the information on to MPP Flack, well, then that can be done, but hopefully someone from the school board would be already doing that.
I don't know. I just know that a parent brought it to my attention that we were noted, we were in a partnership, and I was like, so I did a little bit of investigating.
Just to clarify on that, it may have just been a wording because childcare is run through the city of St. Thomas on behalf of the county of Elgin, and that would be considered a municipal partner.
No, it does list Dutton on here, but it does talk about the municipality to accommodate, and it actually lists proposed partnerships. Jane, I'll forward you the 2 agendas that list us as partners. You can read it. So
Okay, if they don't name us specifically, it does make me wonder if it's not the childcare people through them. You never know, right?
it says the word municipality, which to me implies us.
Except for that, that gets real complicated when we're a lower tier and there are upper tier and single tier municipalities that run that on our behalf. So yeah.
True. But I will let you guys interpret that from there. It was more just a FYI.
Thank you very much for that, and we'll get to the bottom and see what's going on.
Okay.
Any other statements by councillors? I see no hands up anywhere. Any matters of urgency? Again, I don't see any hands up.
We're skipping the closed session. We don't need one.
We don't need the closed session. We're skipping over that. We need no report from the closed session.
Nope.
We are down to a confirming bylaw.
Yes, that bylaw 2022-63 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the regular meeting of council held on October 6th, 2022, be read a first, second, and third and final time.
Mover and seconder, please. Moved by Tellier and seconded by Cameron. All in favor? And that is carried. Adjournment, Madam Clerk.
So that
Believe
the
it.
council of the the council of the municipality of West Elgin hereby adjourns at 10:12 a.m. to meet again at 9:30 a.m. on October 20th, 2022, or at the call of the chair.
Mover and seconder. Rowe and Leatham, all in favor. Carried. Thank you very much. Yeah.
No, I was really close. I said 10.
Quickest meeting ever.
Yeah. Bye-bye. Have a great day.